Hi everyone, welcome to week 3 of Growing Indigo along with Praxis Fiber Workshop. I am very excited today to be joined by my good friend and colleague Tony Williams, who is an artist from Cleveland. And maybe Tony, say hi to the crew and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Again, I'm Tony Williams, and I'm a Cleveland fiber artist working with indigo and paper.
So what got you into indigo? Like why, there's lots of things as an artist you can choose. Why indigo?
Um, I didn't choose indigo. Indigo chose me. I had a quote accepted into the South Carolina African American quilt show, and I went to South Carolina for the first time. And that's where I was exposed to indigo and the slave trade, the whole story, my history, it all just came together.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, I was there. I had just gotten information about the CAC grant. Was when they were doing fellowships, and I was there, and I was like, oh, well, let me start writing this proposal. I was like, oh, well, I know I want to do paper. And then I found out about indigo. And I was like, oh, I want to do indigo and paper and African mark making and what that is and what that looks like. So that's what I wrote my grant about. So that started the journey.
And what year was that?
That was 2016.
Yeah, that's just around the time where we met.
Mm-hmm. Because I did that, and then I came back, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to start getting myself ready to do this. So I was like, oh, I'll take the class at Praxis, and that was my first indigo class was here. And actually, it has been my only indigo class up until last year when I took 2 master classes with Gasale and Abukar. I remember his last name. But that really gave me more insight into what I was doing and why I was drawn to it. So, over those years, I have been studying it on my own and learning more about the practice and the connection that it has to me and my heritage through the Gullah Geechee people and the growing of indigo in the South Carolinas.
I wanted to talk about that with everyone quickly because we've talked about that we're growing the Japanese species of indigo here at Praxis, and there are reasons why we're doing that, but that's actually not the majority of the indigo that's been grown in the United States. It came from Africa, and it was an early plantation cash crop.
Yes.
And I don't think most of us know about the history and the connection of indigo to Africa at all, even though denim is one of the most popular garments globally.
Yeah.
Can you maybe just tell us more about your feelings about that history and what using it now means?
For me, it is a connection to my ancestors and understanding that the color itself is more than blue. Indigo is deeper than blue. Indigo was used in Africa as medicine and still is. It all depends on how the vat is made. We wrap children in blue and put them to bed so that they have good night's sleep. It is the closest thing to heaven. It has such an ethereal, spiritual connection in its practice. So it's more than just the color of denim. It is more than the lives that were lost in bringing it to this country.
I really love that. I think that we do get caught in its popularization, and so much I think about the potential of what this project can do and the type of educating that we can be doing on this level from Praxis, and as this, word of mouth, individual relationships, is just seeing that bigger picture, and by understanding the whole timeline and the whole picture, and not just this one part of it. Wow, I love that, and I learn new things about it all the time. I think that when you took that first class at Praxis, how much I've grown as an artist and an educator in learning about the history and using the history to promote a more ethical and responsible use of the dye and my practice as an artist and as a human, and how we want to teach it at Praxis so that this history is known, but also the greater context is known.
Right.
Yeah, I love it so much.
Yeah. There is something about Indigo just draws people to it, and most people can't describe why they like it. It's something about that particular color blue that they like, and that's across all cultures.
Right.
It depends on the type of indigo that you're using, the depth of color, and what is appreciated. For some cultures, it's the lightness of the color. How close to the sky color can it be to midnight? How dark can it be? The richness in between is phenomenal. And
there's really no other dye that can produce that amount of variety. There's just nothing else like it. That is one of the things.
And that's not adding anything additional to it to make it another color. It is in itself all of those colors.
Right. I talk a lot about how I've seen a range too of more turquoisey blues to more purpley blues, depending on the mineral of the soil when the plant was harvested, the weather and conditions and environment from that year, and there's just so many variables that go into making it so unique. There's just no other thing quite like it. I agree. It becomes kind of an addiction.
It does. And then playing with the variety of vats, from a natural vat to a synthetic vat to an iron vat the list goes on, to a urine vat. They're all different, and they all produce something totally different, but they all produce this blue that you can't really replicate any other way.
I want to make sure to tell everyone that you are going to be teaching a class here at Praxis on African mark making. So maybe talk to us a little bit about what that class is involved, and when you're coming at this from an educator perspective, like what do you want your students to take away? If you can summarize it, that's not an easy question.
Every culture has its own form of mark making. And I really want to explore the types of marks and ways marks are made in Africa, from using a cassava paste to stenciling, using recycled materials. Those are the practices I want to share with my students as they continue this journey.
Lucky students.
Yeah.
Lucky students, and lucky us to have you in our community, and thank you so much for taking the time to come talk to us today.
It's my pleasure.
Later on this season, we would love to see some of your artwork, so we'll have to do a little bit of a field trip and go see Tony in his element with his paper and the indigo. I'd also like to talk more about the differences between African indigo and Japanese indigo, and we can save that for future conversations because Tony will be back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week. All right, and as far as Indigo maintenance for the week goes, no new information there. Just keep an eye on your soil and make sure that you're watering every third day or so. If the temps stay this low, no need to overwater. Plants should be happy and doing their thing. Thanks.